Welcome back to the channel, guys. We try to bring you a fishing report every Friday, so let's get to the video. In today's video, we're going to start out with talking about Caddo Lake right off the bat. If you guys are not familiar or you haven't been following along, the lake is still about 1.5 feet high according to the sources that I'm looking at online. One of my buddies here on Facebook, who's also a kayak guide for Lake of the Pines and Caddo, he recently went to a bass fishing tournament, a kayak bass fishing tournament this past weekend, and the whole tournament was basically around throwing frogs. The bass are doing well if you can get up in the thicker vegetation, according to what he posted after he won that tournament. So that might be a good place to start. I know that the perch or the bluegill, the red ears, they're still doing pretty good in the shallower waters. Some of your male perch are still garden nest, so if you think about a worm under bobber or the crickets are doing real well over there also. And then another thing to start thinking about, the catfishing should start picking up and be a lot better, especially if we can get the water levels to kind of level out. We've been getting a lot of rain this past month. We're at the end of the month this month in June. Last weekend we had the full moon. One of the things I'm looking forward to as we get into July is going to be the July full moon. I really think that's going to be a good time to be out on either Caddo Lake or Lake of the Pines and start doing some serious catfishing. And while we're talking about that, let's talk about some night fishing real quick. Recently we've had a few people ask if you guys have been doing a lot of the night fishing, whether it be Lake of the Pines or Caddo. Are you using the green light or white light submerged? Let us know what your findings are as far as if it's better to use the green light or the white light. We want to know. So again, if you don't mind, if you've done any of that, please comment down below and let the other viewers know. Now let's skip on over to Lake of the Pines. Lake of the Pines is still about 2.5 foot above water norm. And the crappie, let's just go ahead and start right there. The crappie, they're doing really good in that 15 to 25 foot water range. If you guys can find you one of the old river channels into the main lake, get out there, find some of that timber that the crappie are known to congregate around. Jigs and minnows are producing some nice catches of crappie. I'd say the bite's still pretty good on Lake of the Pines for the crappie. Now let's switch over your panfish. The panfish are still doing pretty dang good with the minnows under bobber, especially. We've still got a lot of the flooded timber. The catfish are still hanging out, especially if you're looking for the fryer size catfish. And then also don't forget that the bass, they're going in and trying to get on some of these perch beds. So if you guys can find some perch beds, slow down, fish that out, especially if you're fishing for bass. We was out there this last weekend and I watched several bass chasing the perch, and I mean they was running these things all the way up onto the bank, and it was just wonderful to watch and see. So again, guys, don't forget about that. The bass bite is doing pretty good. Again, the water's still stained, so think about some of your darker colored jigs that you'd use in stained water, because the water's still stained pretty good from all the flooding we've had this past month. Again, we've got the full moon coming up around the 21st of July. It's going to be, I think, some really good catfishing. I've got some new areas on the lake that I'm going to try to check out. I went to try to find a boat ramp over there by the one island, kind of in the central part of the lake. I couldn't figure out how to get to it, guys. We'll come back to that. If nothing else, I'll launch from one of the other boat ramps, and we're going to get out there and fish around that island. It's supposed to be really good for sand bass and crappie, and we're going to look and see what we can find and bring you guys some information on that as well. Again, guys, don't forget that we've got the holiday weekend coming up next weekend, so be safe, be courteous. The water level's still kind of high. I will tell you this, when Angie and I was fishing Lake of the Pines, we were up in Alley Creek this last weekend, and there was a huge tree floating across the main part of the water there. I know we've been getting reports of big trees floating up on the north end of Lake of the Pines. If you guys are going to be out on the lake this weekend, if you don't need to be running your boat full blast and you're not trying to figure out what the top speed is, you might be cautious, because there's still a lot of trees that are floating around in the lake. And then also, since we were over 3 foot high, so a lot of the timber that would normally be sticking up out of the water a little bit has been underwater, it's starting to get close to that surface again. You don't want to hit one of those tree stumps or something going full blast that's just barely under the water. So just be aware of that, especially if you don't know the lake very well. Just be aware of that. Again, guys, let's all remember to be courteous. The weather's warming up. We've got people out doing the kayak tournaments, that type of stuff. Think about them as you're blasting around the lake. Remember that we're all there to share the water together, enjoy the beauty together, and just have a good time. Just don't forget to be courteous. If you guys found any of this information useful, please consider sharing this video with your friends who are also fishing in the same area. Spread the word, let them know that we're going to do what we can to make sure you guys have a great fishing trip. And until next week's video comes out, be sure to check out one of our playlists up above. We got some great fishing videos. I've got a video about how I got stabbed with a catfish. It should be posted today as also this morning. We're going to go ahead and post it up on a Friday as well. We're always trying to think of something fun and give you guys a giggle. So again, I hope you all have a blessed week, and let's get outside and make something happen.